This is 5G Talent Talk with Carrie Charles, CEO of Broadstaff Talent Solutions. Brought to you by RCR Wireless News and Telecom Careers. Connect at carriecharles.com. And now, here's Carrie Charles.
As carriers roll out 5G in the U.S., consumers are eager to take advantage of faster speeds and better coverage. The end user experience is developing quickly with chipsets, devices, and phones with 5G capability. It's been no easy feat, but for nearly a decade, one company has been working diligently to bring 5G from the lab to life. And today I'm talking with Derek Johnston. He is the head of marketing at Samsung Networks. We're talking about the company's exciting developments in 5G and their commitment to building their workforce in the U.S. Derek, thanks so much for joining me today on 5G Talent Talk.
Thanks for having me, Carrie. I appreciate it.
So, Derek, what is Samsung's role in the 5G space?
So Samsung's role in the 5G space is we took an early focus on 5G over a decade ago. Our semiconductor division, our mobile device division, and our network division collaborated on research and development in this space. And so we took an early start with our expertise across the ecosystem, from the silicone layer, if you will, to the network infrastructure. And that enabled us to pioneer kind of many innovations in making 5G a commercial reality. In particular in the millimeter wave spectrum space, which is really where the power of 5G will be realized. And so we were, again, the first technology provider to deliver a commercial end-to-end solution or portfolio, if you will. That included here in the US with supporting Verizon's 5G home service, which used a pre-standards-based 5G, which Verizon and some of the other global operators had collaborated with us and other OEMs on to advance 5G in advance of even the standards development. And we were also one of the only technology providers to support all three Korean operators when they were the first nation, if you will, to build a broad-based 5G network. And we supported all three of those operators end to end, again, from the network infrastructure to the first hotspots and flagship 5G mobile devices.
So Derek, Samsung has been focused a lot on the expansion in the US, but besides leading the pack with 5G smartphones, what other innovations and use cases have been brought to life?
Sure, that's a great question. We have, in the US, in the short 5 years I've been here, we've expanded our existing customer relationships, and then also have expanded into some new customer relationships. One of those new customer relationships is with AT&T. We're helping them with their 5G build out. And moreover, we've collaborated with them on a really interesting project called the 5G Innovation Zone, which was a partnership between AT&T, Samsung Electronics America, which I'm a part of, and our Samsung Austin Semiconductor facility. So within the Samsung Austin Semiconductor facility, we created this innovation zone, which pretends to use 5G to enable a variety of different use cases, particularly in a manufacturing setting, where we're really looking to study and understand and unlock the power of 5G within manufacturing, which we collectively believe is one of the areas or one of the segments where 5G will really help enable kind of this next, this next generation of innovation and advancement. So there's 7 use cases that are established, or applications, if you will, and those range from everything from using video and video analytics to improve overall plant safety and security, and just keeping in mind that this is one of the more secure and complex manufacturing environments in the world. And so that in and of itself involves a massive amount of, as you can imagine, bandwidth needed for real-time video and video analytics. And then there's all this tremendous amount of automation in which we're testing things like massive kind of IoT connectivity, where again, sensor technology is being deployed over 5G to really examine and ensure that the environment is extremely stable to be able to produce, semiconductors. And so that's a critical element, and connectivity obviously is a critical element to that in the facility. And then there's things that are also applied to other verticals where we're testing an AR-based guided maintenance application where you can take a technician can use HoloLens goggles that are 5G enabled to fix or repair an incredibly complex piece of machinery found in the facility. And so they have this kind of guided application where AR information is overlaid onto the actual piece of machinery, and it helps them fix or maintain a piece of equipment. So incredible use cases that we're kind of testing to see to prove out the commercial viability of 5G in these types of environments.
Wow, that sounds exciting. I want to hear more about your portfolio of products. Who are your customers now? But ultimately, how are the products going to make the life of the end user better?
Our primary customers for at least the networks division, right, is the mobile network operators. And so from a networks perspective, our goal is really the same as our mobile division. Which makes our kind of flagship devices. And so that's to deliver really the highest performing solutions that provide end users with a seamless and exceptional experience. And so for us network geeks, where we're putting up, antennas and radio access equipment, that people often don't want to see. It's really about how are we delivering the smallest, lightest, most power efficient, most cost effective solutions that perform the highest for those network operators and deliver to their customers the highest experience. And so, what is unique in terms of our offering is that we are the only technology provider in the US that has the domain expertise, again, all at the silicone layer through the networks to the actual device. And so what we believe is that this translates not only in our speed to market, as you've seen here in the US in terms of what we were able to deliver on the early commercial network launches, but there's also this concept of the complete commercial solution where we kind of better integrate those technologies that deliver that seamless experience. And so that really means how a user, when a user is transitioning from one network technology to another, Samsung kind of understands and has developed the antenna technology and the network management and all the other elements that will enable that seamless experience. And so we believe that gives us kind of a unique advantage. And ultimately, we see 5G as this unifying technology where, again, we're going to want to enable our customers to have a seamless experience leveraging 5G across whatever solutions they have, at least from Samsung, and that they're getting from the network operators.
It's funny that you said network geeks. It's actually cool now to be a network geek. So that leads me to my next question. Let's talk a little bit about the people component here. Company culture has become really a key factor in recruitment and retention these days. Can you describe a bit the culture at Samsung?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I'm coming up on 5 years with the company, and I've worked at a variety of different, smaller companies and a couple of other large companies. And I think the thing that I have found extremely compelling about our culture is it's an enormous organization. It can almost seem intimidating in some ways because we're such a big global brand. But at the heart of the company culture, we operate like a little bit like a startup. And so there's a mentality there where, again, it's kind of flat organizationally, particularly here in the US. There is not a big focus on titles or chain of command, if you will. And everyone is kind of humble but hungry. And so there's a passion that people bring to their work and a drive. There's certainly a focus on people and people development and ensuring that folks have not only a career path, but have access to kind of tools and development to be able to succeed. And so that's what has personally kept me here and super engaged. And again, I think we're also a fairly focused firm on running a kind of a lean operation, if you will. And so there's plenty of opportunities within people's roles to expand and to explore, which is another fantastic benefit in my mind.
Coming off the heels of that career development, I just thought of this, that almost 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every single day. And with this generation just exiting the workforce in droves, or maybe moving to part-time, companies desperately need succession planning to fill those leadership roles. So how is Samsung developing the leaders of the future?
So we have a number of formal and informal programs to support our leadership development, and that's at all levels. So it includes programs aimed to help those who don't yet manage people, but aspire to. So and these programs include aspiring leaders, leadership impact, and the learning and high definition programs. And all these programs are held here in the U.S. Some are taught in-house, while others are facilitated in partnership with Duke Executive Education Program. But we also have, to your point, Carrie, about succession planning and things like that. But we also have a tremendous executive leadership program. So we've got this global leadership development programs that include a global managers course, global directors course, a global executive course, and all these latter programs take place at our state-of-the-art Samsung Electronics leadership facility in Korea. And those things can range from anywhere from a week-long trip to Korea for folks in the U.S. Or Europe or wherever they may be, in our global markets, and to a couple of week program, very intensive, executive kind of level education programs that are top notch.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about diversity for a moment, specifically the massive gender gap that we have in the tech industry. Women hold only a quarter of tech jobs. So how is Samsung attracting and also developing women in tech?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's something we're keenly aware of, particularly in the network space that has, largely has a lot of male-focused engineering background, just in terms of the way that you're familiar with. So we have a host of programs to foster women in leadership, as well as a focus on kind of recruiting women into, the kind of more technical roles that we have. And so a couple that I'm aware of is we have WISE, which stands for Women in Samsung Electronics. And it's an employee resource group, which facilitates several events and learning programs throughout the year. We host a unique event each year called Seoul Sisters. That's not SOUL, but Seoul is in Seoul, Korea, that during which Samsung convenes women from across the organization, meaning a variety of different roles, but also across Samsung subsidiaries and in different divisions to engage in topics and discuss, ways that will create pathways for success for women in leadership. And so it is an important focus of the organization.
So let's switch gears for a moment. I was reading recently that Samsung acquired the network services provider TeleWorld. What was the motivation behind this acquisition, and how do you see that it's going to strengthen Samsung's position in the U.S. market?
Sure. The acquisition of TeleWorld Solutions is really what supported that. As I had mentioned earlier, was we had been growing our U.S. business, both in expanding our existing customer relationships to developing brand new customer relationships. And so now we're supporting 4G LTE and 5G networks for AT&T, for Verizon, for Sprint, or the new T-Mobile, if you will. We recently announced a commercial agreement with US Cellular. North of the border, Videotron, a Canadian operator, is a new customer of ours. And so to support these new customer relationships, TeleWorld Solutions, which have been a longstanding partner of Samsung in terms of our network services, we have partnered with them on this acquisition and folded them kind of into our services organization. They are operating as a wholly owned subsidiary, but they support everything from design to deployment and optimization services. And really, this was about helping us, address the demand that we're trying to support in terms of the U.S. operators, and strengthening their 4G LTE networks today, but also building their 5G networks. And they're a great organization. They actually are are here locally, or at least their kind of headquarters are here locally where I sit in Virginia. And they're great people are out there, in the field today, kind of on the front lines, supporting, existing networks, making sure that they're kind of optimized and running. And that's kind of the background on why we brought them into the Samsung family.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great move. I agree with you. It's good people. I know the CEO, and I would say that, you did a good thing. So, Derek, where can our listeners learn more about Samsung, your products, and also career opportunities?
Yeah, there's Samsung global website, which is samsung.com, or just search Samsung Networks and we'll pop up. Samsung Networks has a presence on LinkedIn and Twitter. So again, you can kind of search both of those, but it's just at Twitter, it's just at Samsung Networks, and LinkedIn, same thing. You can just kind of search for Samsung Networks. We pop up, and our job listings are out there. We are, in this difficult time, we are hiring, and there's still demand out there in terms of the kind of essential work that goes into supporting the network operators. And so, everything from kind of network supporting engineers to call processing system engineers to SMEs and project managers. We are, I encourage folks to go out there and look if they have those specific skill sets and are looking for roles.
Derek, thank you so much for joining me today on 5G Talent Talk.
Thank you, Carrie. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the time and consideration.
Absolutely. It's been great talking with you. And thank you for listening to this episode of 5G Talent Talk, brought to you by RCR Wireless News, Telecom Careers, and Broadstaff 5G Talent Solutions. Let's connect at carriecharles.com, and I will meet you on the next episode. Stay well.
You've been listening to 5G Talent Talk with Carrie Charles, CEO of Broadstaff Talent Solutions. Brought to you by RCR Wireless News and Telecom Careers. Connect with Carrie at carriecharles.com.